As many of you know, this past Sunday was the 17th of Tammuz. We entered the 3-week period between the 17th of Tammuz and Tisha B'Av, yearly period of national mourning. We reflect and we feel and deeply feel and dwell in the brokenness, in the condition of spiritual exile that is brought about by the destruction of the temple, by the sense of disrepair, of disconnection between one another, between ourselves, among ourselves, between us and God, between us and the world, the sense that we are not at home. This is this 3-week period in which we sit and reflect and mourn, somewhat cathartic, and ask ourselves, what is our part in our own misfortunes? What have we, each one of us, done, and what we have done together and generated together to create this situation which brought to the destruction of the temple. The rabbis say that the main thing that brought to this condition, this situation, is sinat chinam, is baseless hatred. Scholars actually say that there was a group within the Jewish people in Jerusalem that were zealots, that were extremists, and that their zealotry and their inflexibility and their violence actually is what brought about the weakening of the community and then the opportunity for the Roman enemy to bring about the destruction. But Tisha B'Av, or the 3 weeks that lead to Tisha B'Av, is not just about the past. It's about where we are now, how broken things are. We know it, we feel it, we know it, we read it. We don't have to look too far in the past. It's now. We know how broken things are. We know how much zealotry there is in the world, how much extremism, inflexibility, how much violence there is in words and in deeds. We live immersed in violence in our country, in Israel, in Gaza, in Syria, and all over the world. The sense that we are immersed in violence is inescapable, and that we are tearing each other apart, and that we're tearing ourselves apart from the inside out. And this week's Parashat Pinchas, is about a zealot, about an extremist, about a violent man. The end of Parashat Balak last week, we read about the Israelite men that joined Midianite women and were then drawn into the worship of Baal Peor, of one of the local deities, and engaging in idolatry that brought about a plague. And then we read this scene that one of the Israelites came and brought a Midianite woman over to his companions in the sight of Moshe and the whole Israelite community, who were weeping at the entrance of the tent of meeting because of so many people who were dying by the plague. And when Pinchas, son of Elazar, son of Aaron the priest, so Pinchas is Aaron's grandson, when he saw this man and this woman basically engaging in sexual intercourse in front of the community, he left the assembly, and taking a spear in his hand, he followed the Israelite into the chamber and stabbed both of them, the Israelite and the woman, through the belly. Then the plague against the Israelites was checked. Those who died of the plague numbered 24,000. This man who took the law in his own hand and committed this act of violence in front of the whole community. The commentators are divided. Some consider him to be a hero. He actually took the law in his hand and stopped this man and this woman who were doing this act of immorality in front of everybody, and which had led to idolatry and had led to so many deaths. Others are uncomfortable. The rabbis in the Talmud, some of them are very uncomfortable with this notion that somebody would do something like this. And that's not surprising that we find this type of zealotry in the Torah. What is very surprising is the beginning of this week's parasha. And this week's parasha begins like this. Adonai spoke to Moshe saying, Pinchas, son of Elazar, son of Aaron the priest, has turned back my wrath from the Israelites by displaying among them his passion for me, so that I did not wipe out the Israelite people in my passion. Say therefore, I grant him, Pinchas, my covenant of peace. It shall be for him and his descendants after him a pact of priesthood for all time, because he took impassioned action for his God, thus making expiation for the Israelites. In other words, God approves of what Pinchas did and rewards him with a Brit Shalom, with a covenant of peace and priesthood for all the generations. It's a little disturbing that God would reward such a thing. And many of the commentators indicate that God did this in order to withhold Pinchas's violence and contain and give him a covenant of peace. Now you're a man of peace, no more engaging in this type of zealotry and extremism. But it's a very disturbing, I think, beginning of the parasha. But the scribes have left a sign in the scroll that things are not okay, that even if God seems to have approved of what Pinchas did, that things are not okay. The word shalom has a vav, shin lamed vav mem. The vav in every scroll, in every community in the world, I think except for the community of Yemen, the tradition is that the vav is broken. In every scroll, you can come tomorrow morning and check. The vav is broken. The peace is not full, is not whole. There's something that is not settled. Even if God seems to have approved of this action, it's not settled. And I believe that given where we are, there is no room for any such, and there is no room for tolerating any such violence. I think we have to be very careful with our own hatred, with our own violence, with what we tolerate in speech and in deed. And there is no, I think, possibility of condoning any type of violence. We have to condemn it. We have to go against it. We have to speak up. And we have to hopefully contain what is going on, the danger that is spreading in our country. People are now, with whom some people disagree, are called evil people. You know about this? And this turns into then, it generates resentment and hatred, and then it turns into further violence. And so I think we have to be extremely alert, particularly now in these 3 weeks, be very, very alert and aware of the things that the violence that we tolerate. We have to speak up, and we have to do our part to contain it. And Shabbat is the wholeness that we aspire to, the wholeness and the calm and the quiet and the togetherness and the intimacy. And this is what we envision when the Vav will be filled. We will be at peace and in wholeness.